Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope you're having a great holiday. It's been really nice the last few days because I've been able to take some time off and explore some of the plugins and software I got for Black Friday, eat a ton of good food, and yeah, one of the ones I've been really looking forward to trying is Soundpaint, which is a brand new sample engine from composer Troels Folman, who you may know as the owner of 8Dio. So I figured what I would do is really dive into this thing, get a sense of what it can do, what it kind of brings to the table from a composer's perspective, but also from a sample developer's perspective. Okay, so when you load this thing up, one of the first things you'll notice is this very beautiful minimal interface. And if any of you guys are familiar with my products, you know I love minimalism. I believe in function over form, so this is really my cup of tea. They include 2 color themes, day and night, which is really nice. And let's just start with the browser. So there are 2 main sections to look at here. We've got parts, which are your individual kind of raw instruments, and then you have programs, which are the presets or multis, you know, the designed patches. And each program can have up to 4 parts, and it'll save all of your effects and modulation data. Really great. So we can actually arrange the library by the products we own, so we don't have to see kind of this window of all the products you don't own. And then when you start saving your own presets, you can load them up from the user window here. You can search sounds, you can favorite them, you can star them, highlight them, whatever. A lot of features with the browser, which are really nice. Before I dive into all of the controls and features that you might expect to see from your standard sampler, there's something that's very unique about Soundpaint, which I think makes it special from pretty much every piece of software I've ever used. And that's this velocity morphing technology. Now what that is essentially, instead of having just the velocities that you record, it's able to create velocity layers in between those true recorded ones, which is really incredible. And what that translates to is a very smooth playback. You know, it ends up sounding much more like a real instrument because you don't hear these kind of jumps in the layers. But what it could mean from a sample developer's perspective is almost more exciting to me. If you take something like LA Modern Percussion with the dynamic hits, you know, we've got 30 dynamics, but what if that translated to essentially 127 dynamics, which is what you'd get with MIDI? You'd have so many velocities that you'd really never get this sense of repeating the same velocity layer twice in a row. So this morphing technology also applies here with their morph feature. And essentially what this allows you to do is take one part or layer and morph it into the characteristics of another. It's not like a crossfade. It's actually taking the characteristics and adjusting the timbres and tones and all of the characteristics of the others. So let me just show you real quick what this sounds like. So if I take a guitar layer, let's just do a sustain. And then a piano, sustain. So what the guitar sounds like raw. This is with the piano. But if I were to morph, so that's really cool. And you can morph between 2 layers at a time. So if you have 4 layers, basically your top 2 layers are morphing and your bottom 2 layers are morphing. What I think would be really cool in the future is if they were able to incorporate some sort of XY pad setup so that you could morph all 4 layers in this kind of 3-dimensional way. That would be incredible. I'm putting that on my holiday wish list. So one of the first things I noticed was how quickly these instruments actually load. It's almost instantaneous. And I can't tell you how useful this is when I'm kind of on the fly, really quickly trying to sculpt sounds together. The last thing I want to do is, wait for a sound to load. It kills the momentum. So this is definitely a really nice feature of Soundpaint. Within each individual instrument module, you've got basic controls like volume, tone, which is kind of a filter-like thing. It's definitely got a frequency curve adjustment, which is really helpful when you want to quickly layer things and maybe you just want the high end of one sound and the low end of another. You don't have to pull up a filter or an EQ. You can just quickly do it on the fly. Really nice. You've got micro pitch, and then you've got your pitch. Pitch goes up to 1 octave up and -60 down. I guess they're probably thinking like, pitching down and stretching the sound is a much more useful thing than pitching it up. But I'd personally love to see it if we could at least go maybe 2 or 3 octaves. That'd be nice, but not trying to be too greedy here. You can also pull up some more advanced effects here. You can do reverse. You can assign the key range. So if you want one sound to be on the top of the keyboard, another sound to be on the bottom, you can do it that way. You can do pan and 1-note stretch and 1-note same. Those apply more to samples that, maybe you just have one sample loaded and you want it to stretch across the keyboard. If you've already sampled, chromatically, then I wouldn't even use those controls. At the bottom, we've got the rack section. And while this may look intimidating at first, it's actually really simple. It allows you to take the basic controls that you might expect from any sampler, and rather than having it pre-laid out for you, they give you this modular approach where I'm able to pull up only the ones I need and I can organize them exactly how I want. So if I were to pull up, say, offset, I can adjust the offset time, and I could pull up touch, which will do things like mono mode and glide mode. Glide time. You can affect how drastic the pitch wheel curve is. All that stuff. Velocity type, you can adjust the curve. So this kind of stuff would be a lot more convoluted of a process to do in Kontakt. Clicking on the wrench for most users is already like a no-go, but then doing things like adjusting the velocity curves or the pitch wheel and all this stuff, most people just wouldn't do it. This makes it so easy. And what you'll note is that some of these modules, like ADSR, give you the ability to control independent layers. So if I click 1, I'm able to control layer 1, 2, 3, 4. This is fantastic, and I pray that they add this functionality to some more of the modules, and man, I'd be so happy if they do it with the effects. I'll get into that in a minute, but it would be awesome to be able to have a little bit more independent control of each of these modules. Okay, so the thing I'm almost the most excited about are the effects. The effects in Soundpaint are absolutely stunning, and I'd say probably the best I've ever heard in a sampler. So let's just go through some of these so you can get a sense of what we have here. Beautiful. You've got the ability to adjust the wetness control right on the rack, so you don't even need to go and pull it up, which is super handy. I mean, you can just start tweaking things really fast with this approach. You can rearrange your modules, which is great. You've got 8 of them available, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, No, you've got 7. God damn.
God damn.
God damn!
That reverb is so nice. Beautiful. Let's move some of these over. I want to check out distortion. So this is really cool with the distortion. Rather than having all of them split out, I can kind of quickly preview them like that. It's very, very fast workflow. You know, things like this, the tone. Having these quick tone controls on these effects and just kind of on all the modules, it makes the process so quick for sound design. A gate, really nice. You know, in Contact, you'd have to use mods to do something like this. Makes the whole rhythmic stuff very easy for the average user. So you get those kind of tremolo, glitchy effects. All right, so something that's so amazing about this is that I can modulate basically any parameter on this thing. So if I want to just drive that effect level into an LFO, I just right click on it, boom. Click the amount, I can click a different shape. Frequency is speed. And this is really nice. I can basically tell the mod at what range I want it to control. So if I don't want it to go from 100% wet to 100% dry, I can click any range and then I can actually move it around like this, which is great. Sync with the host and give you all the different speed options, which is fantastic. So I'll put that on a second LFO. You can also right-click and assign these parameters to your mod wheel by touch. It'll just recognize it if you move the fader. Okay, so you have up to 4 LFOs per program. And here's the thing. Modulation is so easy in this thing that I find myself wanting to use a ton of it. And I found that I ran out of LFOs way sooner than I would have liked. So I really hope that in the future we can see maybe up to 8 LFOs per program. I would be absolutely thrilled with that. If you pull up this matrix button, if you're familiar with Omnisphere, there's something similar where you're essentially able to pull up all of your modulation routing. And this may be a little bit complicated for the average user, but it's really convenient if you've got 4 LFOs and CC routings, and it's easy to get lost in everything that's going on. You can pull this up all under one window, which is really nice. And of course, we've got the arpeggiator. Up to 32 steps, can control step velocity. Step length. I don't believe you can do individual step length yet, but maybe sometime down the line. Swing. You got all your patterns, chord, as played, up, down, random, kind of the things you'd expect to see, note reps, that kind of stuff, intervals. With the step sequencer, you can actually play it in, which I think is really nice. One of the more unique features of the sequencer is the pan. So you can have it do this kind of panning effect, which I think is really cool. And sync it. All right, so let's just check out some of the patches I've made, and I'll go through that real quick. I'm very thrilled with where Soundpaint is now, but I'm even more excited for where I think it's going to be in the near future. You know, you can tell that this is a passion project. One of the things people complain about with Contact is that it's like still stuck 10 years in the past. It's so slow to catch up to where developers want it to be. This could be a solution to that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes. Let me know what you guys think. Could you see Audio Ollie developing some instruments in here? Would you be interested in that? Let me know in the comments. I will take everything you say to heart for sure. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.